gameplay, even though it's maybe not as clean, I think it's something that we need to get comfortable with. Because, I mean, even talking to you with G2, like, their games are never clean. They make you sweat, you're nervous, but they win. And they have confidence and they have unique picks in these kinds of things.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's see if Golden Guardians can close it out or if PSG can make the comeback a reality. Rakan will be taken off the board once again. It is a consistent, the Viego now being taken away. Last game we saw PSG adopt the strategy of targeting Gory. So now his LeBlanc or Ari may be left up and available.
And same as game number 2, Aphelios and Ezreal, the first 2 bans from Golden Guardians. They rounded it out with that. Kaden would anticipate the same thing to happen. And for PSG, they've tried a slightly new look in game number 1. A couple of first-time champions here at MSI, as well as for them this year. In game number 2, went back to tried and true, something we've come to expect from them. A lot of their sort of seasonal favorites. So what do they do now in this do-or-die match game 3? Because I think ultimately one of the big challenges they have is their slower-paced early game is not something that's able to sort of meet Golden Guardians.
I feel like their drafts have these like little tweaks you can do for improvements. It hasn't been perfect, but if I'm looking for anything, it's more in-game. I have been somewhat disappointed at Waco's performance. Both games have had critical mispositionings, using mobility spells forward at key moments and then dying on the tail end of them. I feel like he was someone who has been so good for PSG this tournament and has had these moments. He used to have them in his past a little bit. They've kind of reemerged here, these missteps that have cost his team in big moments, as well as Junjie not quite having the same level of impact as I would want to see.
Very much agree. We'll see how they set Waco up for success in this game. First pick options, Annie, Vi, both up and available. And I think the Vi makes the most sense. So Junjie on something that gives him a little bit more agency. Perhaps him and Yubao can work together. Perhaps the Sandra Vi is the game plan for them this time around. How will Golden Guardians respond? What do they consider strong in the current jungle meta? What do they think their priority needs to be? Or will they just lock in a bot lane? They could get themselves the Lucian army if they wanted to. Kind of sit there and say, we'll show you how it's done. We know we've seen it from them before. I remember you talking about them yesterday and how this is one of the, in North America, one of the better bot lanes of playing the Lucian army.
They can definitely play the Lucian army themselves. You can also see a lot of flex picks that they love to do. Casante's, Tristana's, whatnot, Annie's as well. Gonna go for that route this time around, grabbing the Casante early this time potentially. River's flexing, he's not doing that. Yeah. That's not his role in this team. Don't do it, River. But yeah, I think this is something that the team does very well. I think for Yubao, they need to try and find a better matchup for him, because both times it felt like Gory, in situations where he should not have as much prio as he did, he was almost always on the other side of the map.
Yep, it really felt like to me Gory has been controlling Yubao so well throughout the series. He's always been first to fights. He's been finding great engages. And when we see the Jinx locked in, I believe it was you that says that he hasn't played it all year.
First Jinx of 2023 here for Waco. It does fit the wheelhouse. It is something that we can see working in PSG's favor. He is the late game carry. He is the player that does well in terms of just getting into those 5v5s once the rest of the squad have had that stable early game. It will be flanked with that Thresh in the bottom lane by Woody. Now we need to see where this Annie will go, whether or not it'll go to mid or to bottom lane. It was such a great flex in the previous with Viego banned away with Vi secured. Gragas is another pick that we have seen River running throughout the course of this tournament, and Zeri once again in the hands of Stixxay.
I assume slamming the Zeri basically telegraphs, yeah, the Annie's probably going bot lane most likely. You're talking about Waco, 19 games total in his career, which is not a ton for how relevant Jinx has been on and off for the last couple of years. But this pairing is very strong and safe in the bot lane and can go more for that scaling mentality. Also, no mobility spells, can't jump in at the wrong time.
Unless he goes Gale Force.
I never doubt him.
Taliyah going to be banned away by Golden Guardians. Does make a lot of sense. Taliyah Vi is another combo that we've seen in the mid lane, and Golden Guardians have since learned that Yubao is willing to play the Taliyah mid. Wouldn't be surprised to see even the Lissandra banned away by Golden Guardians. Gory is a player that has played all sorts of things mid lane. I remember him distinctly for his Yone during the regular season as well. But a very versatile mid laner, not afraid to dig deep into the champion pool with so many of the meta mids taken off the board. I wonder what direction he will go. Remember, his LeBlanc is, of course, still up and available, but wouldn't be surprised to see PSG ban that one away.
5 games played on that champion this year. I think having that flexibility on the Annie is going to be very powerful. That Gragas we mentioned just a moment ago, banned away here by PSG.
The
Yasuo removed
remember?
as a option as well.
It was the Casante, Gragas, Yasuo that they used to defeat BLG that PSG was hesitant of there. So of course that flexibility of the K'Sante is still something the PSG want to respect, and so removing the Gragas does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for them. A couple other combinations still available. We also saw the Nocturne out of River as well. Feels like he's been flexing his champ pool a little bit more in this tournament, whereas he was very comfortable slamming the same handful of champions earlier. Also like the Poppy ban, the respect that Licorice earns with this champion, not just in lane phase, but around objectives. He had a number of very clean wall hops. There is the K'Sante, but again, it goes to Gory rather often. This is something they did in playoffs quite a bit, is bait the enemy team into blinding some tank matchup with a K'Sante or something, and then he would slam Gwens, Rumbles, Fioras, these kinds of things to take advantage of people.
Okay. Team fights. Quick shot. You're going to get them.
Team fights. What are they anyways?
Maokai is, of course, one of the best champions, whether he's first on the objective or wanting to approach an objective. The saplings are so good at making it harder for the enemy to face check. Doesn't have the same early game presence that a champion like Vi does. You're almost always going to lose out on these skirmishes, but in terms of team fight power, one of the best in the game.
I particularly like that into the Jinx as well. Syndra will be secured here for about 3 games played this year, but again, another target relatively happy for the likes of the Annie, likes of the Maokai to jump onto. How do they round this compound? And then we get to see, where does this Annie go?
Gnar. They're going to round it out with a Gnar.
I wonder. I mean, if they didn't go Maokai, I would have set a LeBlanc slam here and just play skill matchup into it. But with double AP from your jungler as well, easy Merc Treads itemization for the Syndra makes me think that he'll actually either take the K'Sante mid like you're saying and then find a counter pick into the Gnar potentially. Or we'll see some counter pick left mid. I mean, the Lissandra is up, and you can survive.
Play Echo?
He can. I mean, he plays a lot of melee matchups. But again, I wonder if he wants to shy away from an AP carry now that they have the Maokai already locked in. Yeah. Oh.
Think about it. All right, we'll see what the Hoppers lock in just a second. But I think up until that Poppy ban in the phase 2, I like to think we're going. And the final lock-in will be on, I think, is that the first on that we've had on MSI? I think
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I love on.
Team fights, team fights. This is easy to understand.
Like we were saying, the K'Sante ends up flexing mid here, and this is about a bunch of meatballs protecting President Stixxay.
Certainly is. Last game, I had concerns with Stixxay being the only damage source. How problematic is that? He then gets a quadra kill. So then they're like, you know what? Let's just build more things to protect Stixxay. I did wonder if they were going to put the Ornn mid, but it does look like that K'Sante will be mid lane. They're going to send the Ornn up into top. And I'm reminded of 2018 semi-finals, quarterfinals. Do you remember Afrika Freaks, Licorice on the Ornn? Do you remember his slap on the Baron?
Actually, no.
You don't remember that?
No.
It was the 3-0 Cloud9 for Afrika.
I remember
and they stole Afrika's Baron with his Ornn, where he stole it with an auto
I remember
attack.
the Lucian from Sneaky, rest in pepperonis.
My point was, Licorice Ornn, he's had memorable moments in the past.
And based on how these two team compositions have been built, another potential slower laning phase early game. Throughout the course of this one, we've had an average of about 3 kills every 14 minutes. Here at MSI, it's been 9, a little over 9. So it is a significant slowdown as far as the kills are concerned. But I do like what I saw from Golden Guardians in game number 2. They were able to move around the map, set up for those objectives, and execution was the only thing holding them back. They are 2-0 up, 1 win away from joining 7 other teams in the bracket stage.
Does feel like Golden Guardians have picked up a bit of a read on this game, knowing how slow PSG is, seeing that, hey, we can actually hang with them in team fights. Generally speaking, Golden Guardians have gotten the better of them in these, and it feels like they say, all right, we don't really need to play these skirmishy styles. Instead of throwing down a skill matchup 2v2 situation in the mid lane, they go very safe, very stable.
And of course, if you are wondering why we're not in game, there's a brief pause. As soon as the players loaded up onto the Rift, as soon as I get any information, I will let you know what is happening. But I do like what you're saying, Mark. I think whenever you have these situations where a team is confident or capable in their ability, both individually and as a team, just play for late game. You know you can survive, you know your opponents may not be able to punish you, and then if you can play the team fights better, which they've been able to demonstrate they can, then just set yourself up for that late game sort of like confirmed win. I use that word loosely, of course, but it has worked twice in a row already.
I will say that this has been also a bit of a grind for both teams.
Yeah.
When you look at the playing schedule, best of 3, best of 3, best of 3, best of 3, into the best of 5. Both of these teams have had to fight long and hard to qualify for the bracket stage. And now PSG's backs are against the wall.
You hear the crowd rallying to them. I think that's a PSG chant I hear. Wanting to see more games today.
Definitely wanting to see PSG put up more of a meaningful fight here against the Golden Guardians. It is their potentially last game on the stage here in the Copper Box Arena in London. PSG's last chance to keep their hopes alive. These 5 new players on the organization picking up their first PCS title, representing PSG for the first time, facing off against former players of their own org. Right now, continuing the mode game. Defensive start across all 5 roles. And River, can he keep up this early impact and this ability to surprise PSG on the 3rd game in a row?
I would love to see him try. I think despite the fact we're talking about this very beefy front line for Golden Guardians, this relatively slower pace that can come in with the scaling, with a Zeri, with an Ornn, a Maokai, I still want them to keep up the level of proactivity we have seen out of them, though. Being first at objectives, looking for these kind of dives when you don't expect it, camping brushes. This is the kind of stuff that I don't think you need to ease off of just because you've taken more scaling. And the best teams in the world do not choose to play slow just because their comp has the scaling advantage.
I really think the PSG just need to camp Yubao. I think that Syndra is so difficult to play into tanks because her burst, the second that it's gone, her impact in fights is just so much more limited. There are different things that you can do. Of course, the ultimate into the E means that you have a lot of widespread CC, but in terms of damage, it's very limited. So I really want to see them get Yubao ahead, get the Syndra to a point where it doesn't matter how tanky you are, you can just get melted through anyway. As we take stock of how the early game is going, bit of trading happened in the bot side of the map. River actually starting on PSG's own Raptors, and now he will steal away the red buff as well. So he could create a very effective split map here and prevent Wako from getting any jungle support.
Of course, in the 2 previous games, Wako and Woody, the recipients of early ganks there for River, paying dividends. They are pushing just a little bit forward, so there's an opportunity here for River. If they continue, Death Sentence does miss, and they continue to step forward. Mark, maybe the writing's on the wall. It could happen once more.
Gonna need 2 for any follow-up CC from Huhi, though, so the fact that this wave is developing so slowly actually makes it a little hard of a timing window here. They need those last 2 melee creeps to die, and then they can potentially go.
It's gonna happen now, it's gonna happen now. Level 2 secured. Huhi flashes forward, incinerate, obliterate, sapling is down, flashes past the Death Sentence, and River sets it up once more.
This is the creating path of River coming up again, going and just walking in blind into PSG's bot side jungle. 3 camps stealing from Jinjia, who was full clearing, and then going in for a bot lane gank yet again. Not afraid to burn flashes as well, flashing over the hook to make sure there's no escape path.
Is that 3 games in a row the bottom lane has conceded first blood? I really think that it is.
I believe so. River was able to... I think one of the big things was PSG in game 2 didn't early ward. This time round, though, they did, but it was in the river, so they weren't expecting the Maokai to come in from behind. Licorice will now spot out Jinjia to try and stop him from stealing away that red. But
look at the minimap. River's making his way forward.
I don't think they win this, though. I think that Golden Guardians need to be very careful about going for an early skirmish. Gory sees an opportunity for a bit of a trade.
The damage down, and he's arriving as well. No flash available to him. River's going to be able to escape. He still has that flash up. He's waiting in the wings. Junjia's right there, though, so it could be a play. Gory is low on mana.
I think they might have seen him on the ward. There was one in the ramp right there, you can see. I think Huhi might have come up river. If he did it all the way from the enemy jungle, could have gotten in there unseen, but I'm pretty sure PSG saw that one coming, backed off any of these aggressive plays. But you can see they're not backing off, fighting for Scuttle Crabs. River has so many camps up, but they want to deny as much farm for Jinjia as possible before he goes back into full clearing.
Now River, the double crab. Golden Guardians off to a fantastic early start here in game 3. You have to wonder the mental pressure that this puts on PSG, already being 0-2 down. To start a game like this is definitely difficult to bounce back from. Of course, it's not completely over yet. We are only 4.5 minutes into the game, and a single death onto the Thresh is not going to determine the outcome, but the momentum and the confidence definitely swinging in the favor of Golden Guardians already.
Talking about momentum, baby, it's actually Woody that has conceded first blood in
Woody,
all 3 of the games. So in terms of momentum, definitely on the side of Golden Guardians. I will highlight, obviously, Licorice playing the Ornn into the Gnar. Starting to fall behind on CS as you expect, as you anticipate in terms of the matchup. But we know that he's always going to have that value with that call, the Forge Guard. Just play defensive, play weak side. You know Stixxer and Huhi have already been set up for success. Got that kill, got that call. and they're the ones now pushing forward.
It does speak to the game plan that Golden Guardians have had coming into this game, knowing Wako is such a threat, having creative gank paths, probably already discussed in some level, knowing how they want to get down there and kill him early. I'm pretty sure the only reason they had anything different in game one was sort of the cannon that they ended up having. Didn't think they would get their hands on that one, but since then, Licorice has been on weak side tanks, which is something he is very comfortable doing.
Licorice was a fantastic tournament so far. Golden Guardians, some of the sentiment I was seeing, interesting descent, is there?
Sorry, no, the idea is you use the dematerializer to kill the minion, and then it catches them off guard because the minion dies just as the hook goes through. But he hooked and then the materializer came afterwards, so that's why I love.
Got the order wrong, and maybe feeling some of the pressure there. Vedius, obviously struggling a little bit throughout the course of the series. Has been bullied.
Buzz Lightyear would have done it right.
Just a little. But I will say that some of the sentiment I've been seeing on socials and on Reddit is just talking about how they've been impressed by Golden Guardians, by the macro. And now Golden Guardians need to avoid this gank. Junjie level 4, waiting over the wall. Zap goes wide. Woody holding on to the CC. Not going to be able to find the target. So really just trying to create opportunities or try to force it. And it's not paying off just yet.
No, I think this is a really heads-up play. Golden Guardians had a very different setup for the early path out of River, but once they got the Scuttlecraft controls in the bot side play, they go straight into full clearing and playing slightly more defensive, kind of keeping the wave over here, and not really giving Junjie an easy place to make plays. Topside's going to be permanently pushing under turret pretty frequently, so it's hard to dive an Ornn. Obviously, Casante's very, very tanky in mid lane, not where you want to be playing through, and the bot side's where you want to make most of these plays.
He snuck in. Ball breaker forward, play backwards, hop over the wall, but the target is Huhi, and the kill secured this time for Wako.
PSG get on the board, and Junjie is finally able to make a successful gank happen bot lane. Great play from PSG. Junjie trying to steal this one away. We'll be able to secure it with this fight.
And I think it was so important for Junjie. He spent so much time in that bottom lane. Ubal's going to throw out the ultimate from that Unleashed Power. Does nothing already, or not a lot already. I mean, admittedly, he's got mana and a ring to work with. Golden Guardians now, they are grouped up, surrounded a little bit here on this middle lane. Woody, right here, going to be caught up. Q, River stepping forward, knows he's got support there from Huhi. All out comes forward. Woody flashes for his life, taken down by Gory. Junjie gets a reply. That's a flash forward from Huhi inside the pit. Junjie's running away. Next target, Ubal. No flash, no escape, nothing to do. A double for Gory.
Golden Guardians keeping the pace of play up. Huhi on respawn charges down mid lane to get himself involved in a 3v3 skirmish.
You could feel that happening. Even though the numbers advantage was for PSG to begin with, Golden Guardians knew they had the backup, they had the patience, and they played that one very, very well. 3 kills to 2. Got the kill advantage, and it's on the primary members. 2 for Gory in the mid lane, and 1 of them for Stixxay as well.
Just love the awareness from Gory there, recognizing the damage limitations of his champion and knowing that with the ultimate he could very easily win out on the 2 versus 3. He sees that the Maokai is coming in from the river. Gory throws out the ultimate, creates a 2 versus 2 as Hubao doesn't have the ultimate available after using it earlier on the Maokai. And while River becomes the focus, very squishy in these early skirmishes, with the arrival of Huhi, it's an easy cleanup. Gory doesn't want to overcommit to kill Junjie here. He's saying, you know what, Yubao is the easier kill, and he's able to secure it. Gets a bunch of flashes out, and Golden Guardians walk away the victor.
Golden Guardians, oops, excuse me.
You're good, you're good.
I was getting excited, man. We're looking good right now. This is a nice startup by PSG, kind of forcing GG into this without some of their ultimates available. Gory's still waiting on his on cooldown, but Yubao's back up.
Power this time around available there. Was a little bit cut off from the squad. All right, so Riftchild was secured there by Junjie and PSG. They are down 1,000 gold, but the plate gank can set them up well. He's going to use this knot, pushes back Licorice, who's going very low. Will be able to escape with that searing charge, and now all of a sudden keep around the minimap. Numbers advantage for Golden Guardians.
So a couple things happen there. Oh, hang on a second, don't have time for that as a hook lands from Woody.
Very nicely done. They're going to punish the invade this time round. Numbers advantage, but Huhi needs to buy some time. Nature's Grasp will be thrown out. Here comes Archie over the wall. No Gnar to work with, and another kill goes the way of PSG. Taking down River for the second time, and this time keeping up at the pace in the early game.
Yeah, the aggression is punished here by PSG. And I have to criticize Golden Guardians a little bit. They knew they were late to the Herald. After going for that bot side skirmish, PSG were always going to have priority. And I think the Golden Guardians should have considered going for the cross map and then investing in those bot side plates instead. They know that they have the numbers advantage given the Woodies moving up towards top, the assist with the Herald. Instead, after failing to secure the Herald or really contest it, they then try to go for a top side invade and they end up getting punished for it. So a couple missteps there from Golden Guardians and PSG. You have to be careful against a team like this because after getting that kill onto Wacko and the fact that they're able to find repeated kills now onto River, it gives PSG a clear avenue and win condition into this game.
It feels like Golden Guardians has caught PSG a couple times after a play has ended, someone being a little lax on their recalls or not realizing that there's still people around. But this time, like you said, with Aja having the shove in topside, would have collapsed in there faster anyways. And River needs to acknowledge, I'm on Maokai this game. I am not going to out-scrap a lot of people the way I want to.
And somewhat similarly to the previous game as well, Golden Guardians making that first move and sometimes being punished for it. This time round, grouped up, Lantern is available here. Bramble Bash will knock Junjia backwards. He gets to it. Hop over the wall from Stixay. The chase continues. Nature's Grasp is available, but River pulls back. Doesn't fire that one out. So they don't manage to pick up the kill. They chase PSG away. While all of this is going on, Aja continues to bully Licorice. He's generated nearly a 30 CS lead in this top lane. Continues to chip away at that tower. And he's building up a bit of a lead on this Gnaw. We'll be looking to use that ultimate. Does the tower dive? That's a question. Knocked up into the air by Licorice and just uses the Gnaw defensive.
It's fine. It's
yes,
fine.
exactly.
He's mini Gnaw. He's not really going to lose much off the back of that. Golden Guardians also recognizing that Junjia needs to go back to base. Should be able to secure it. Needs a dragon it. Pretty late one, all things considered. Last game we saw the first dragon dropping at 6.5 minutes. But overall, still a very even game state right now with a lot of advantages for PSG sitting in top, whereas the advantages for Golden Guardians largely sitting in mid.
Cease and desist is available there for Junjia. Flanking his bottom lane. Once again, first member of the mid lane to move was Gory. Stepping down, he wards up just behind that red buff. But this time, it almost feels like the teams are a little bit more on the same page, or rather, let's reply. PSG are reacting a little better to Golden Guardians. They've got the potential backup. Golden Guardians, 3v3 set up for now. Teleport's available for top runners as well.
See if they want to go on it. I think they're just fighting for prio right now to get this Rift Herald off and try and get some gold back into Wacko's pocket. Whoa! River being a little loose with how he was getting into lane there.
He's just forced the flash, so good play there from Woody. Again, both teams grouping up, congregating on the bottom lane. Target's going to be Junjia. Will not be caught out just yet. Death sentence thrown out. Stixay insta-cleanse, continues to chase forward. PSG on full retreat. Ubal cancel the rotation instead. Is chipping away at that middle tower. Tibbers is now dropped and Gory joins the fray. Three members of PSG, they back out and the tower will be the focus.
I do wonder if River's ultimate was on cooldown at the start of that fight because it came out very late. I feel like the Golden Guardians were in a better position to force that fight if they wanted to, but a number of great things from Golden Guardians did happen there. You can see that Wacko wanted to get those tower plates. He wanted to have that gold ingested into him, but River solo zoning him away from the tower, thinning out the wave, making it harder for him to approach, means that he gets denied all of the plates, all of the money went into Junjia's pocket, and off the back of forcing that fight, Stixay secures himself a number of plates. So now look at that 80 carry gold difference, 1.3k in favor of Stixay.
Stixay getting further ahead on the back end of that play, but some neutralization for Ubao catching up somewhat to Gory, who was massively ahead, getting almost 2 plates back himself. Looks like there's just a little bit left up on that last one. Might not get it before plates drop in about 30 seconds, so small mistake there. But I will say Aja as well, someone who is very, very comfortable on Gnar, one of his most played champions, playing to the weak side, trying to get his own lane leads, and then becoming a monster team fight later. His Gnar is very, very, very impressive. And so in a lot of ways, this is somewhat of a comfortable ground for PSG. I think the only thing they wish was different was a little bit more gold in Wacko's back pocket.
And of course, what impact will Ubal be able to have? We're 14 minutes in. He's got a very tough front line to get through on the Maokai potential for Cassante. So I think maybe the ultimate into like AoE CC might be a better angle. Buy time for Wacko and Aja to do work. Golden Guardians, they're committed. Once again, investing some time from River. This bottom tower is very, very low. But the minion wave has been cleared out. So both teams again, 500 gold difference. We're 2 minutes away from the next dragon. Junjia is going to clear out that vision that's been placed down. I mean, Vedius, a much, much, much stronger early game than the 2 previous years from PSG. Now we need to see how these next skirmishes play out because we're potentially setting up for another fight here.
Certainly are. A lot of fighting over this Tri-Brush right now.
Golden Guardians really want this tower. Really putting pressure on it.
On Gory, moving into Fog of War once again. But I think the advantage of being able to push in bot means that you can actually rotate up towards mid. You can start threatening that mid tower, even looking for a kill. Ultimately, this is all about setting up control around the Drake. The problem is the Herald is alive, and GG is already paying towards it. They have the push from Aja in top lane. The bot lane has chosen to reset, and now PSG are making the call, you know what, we'll concede this, and we'll actually convert it into a Herald, which we can use to either cross on our top, or maybe even unlock mid, because you look at the wave clear on Golden Guardians, and it really isn't that strong. When you have 3 tanks, they don't have the easiest ability to clear out those waves underneath their tower.
Gory repping the NA orgs, TSM, EG, CLG, now NRG. But I do agree, I love the PSG cross maps. This was something they did very well in game 1 when they stacked up dragons themselves. Once they started feeling like they didn't have easy ins, they could then go to the top side of the map, start trying to get gold that way. Here, with how much pressure Golden Guardians had around the bot side, instead leak up, go ahead, grab that Rift Herald, and start channeling more gold, hopefully again into Wako or someone like that, so you can continue to have threat onto the front line of Golden Guardians. So that's the problem you have to solve at the end of the day. How can I get enough damage out to these guys diving onto our immobile backline before they kill me?
Well, Wako's got himself the Kraken Slayer. That's at least one piece of the puzzle. He needs a lot of time to burn through all of those HP bars. Say, shield mode instead, and of course Mythics for the mid laners. So 10 seconds to go for the next dragon. Teleports are available for both top laners. Archie's got himself at least a level advantage. And in the previous game, those dragon setups were non-traditional, we'll say, at best. I don't think it deserves a chuckle, but I'll say that one.
Non-traditional.
Non-traditional at best. It's Golden Guardians this time, at least with a little bit of presence in the mid lane. Not exactly the deepest vision. It looks to me like River is at least alone inside the pit. The rest of the squad's moving top side. So, I mean, Vedi, it looks to me PSG, they want the tower and may just give up this next dragon.
Yeah, makes sense. Are they really going to die this?
It looks to be the case. Fall of the Forge God comes out. Flash forward from Hui. Tippers is dropped into the 2v2. Licorice and Hui able to survive, able to thwart it. Very well played from Golden Guardians.
A little bit over-eager, though, I gotta say. Hui committing his flash there. Licorice was still full health. You could slow play that a little bit more, make them commit further under the turret, and then land the ultimate. Instead, very happy to just eat that and get out. Does cost Aja his flash, though. So not the end of the world.
Yeah, it ends up being a trade of flashes, so as you rightly said, it's not the end of the world. But I agree, I think Golden Guardians didn't have to, or kind of feel like panic respond there. They definitely could have taken their time. The good news for Golden Guardians is they will secure themselves their second break of the game. And now we'll return to another neutral state. This is a great opportunity if you have a great narrative point, Trevor.
I'm going to go draft instead.
Okay.
If you cast your mind back to the draft, Radius said this amazing point where you looked me dead in the eyes and you went, Trevor, team fights, team fights, team fights. And that is exactly the direction we're going. Nearly 20 minutes in, it's only 1,000 gold lead here for PSG, and I think all of that is going to be Arch in the top lane, plus 34 CS. We're 4 minutes away from the next Drake. It's a Cloud Drake as well. So initiate, get into those team fights even faster. And then I think for me, it comes down to just simple. What can Ubao and Wako do? Are they able to actually find the damage? Because Golden Guardians will have a very prolonged team fight, have a lot of time to work with. For PSG, this is the very first time that they've been on a sort of even footing at 20 minutes. I think the 2 previous games maybe a little bit Golden Guardians favored. We'll be able to at least find their control again, because look, it's GG again. They're moving in, they're placing the wards. So as far as storylines go, PSG, do or die here. You've got to bring it back. You've got to win this game to keep the hopes alive.
So this is one of the things that is slightly annoying as we see Jinjia trying to catch them to covering the top side for Licorice here. I was going to say the Gory Cassante will feel much more comfortable in the side lane 1v1. You can see it has Yubao a little bit uncomfortable, kind of staying between mid lane and bot lane right now, waiting for the wave to go in. But PSG do a good job understanding he's on the weak side of the map right now, getting this Rift Herald down. Not needed, unfortunately.
We'll get another charge in the turn, maybe. See if he gets the time. Hurricane was picked up by Stixxay, by the way, so PSG got to be a little bit cautious around that Zeri, a little bit careful. And I will take this moment just to remind everybody, once the series is over, whether it is now or later in the day, we will have that bracket stage draw show during the course of cooldown. So make sure you stick around, make sure you stay in venue, we can find out exactly where the matchups are going to be. Right now, it is looking like Golden Guardians will be that 18th. They are in a deficit, however, 1,500 gold down.
So there are 3 tiers in the bracket stage, right? There's tier 1,
tier 1, 2, and 3.
Which is JDG, Genji.
Correct.
And tier 2 is
Cloud9
Cloud9
Mad.
And
Correct.
tier 3 is T1 BLG.
Yeah, tier 3.
Yeah, because it's the second seeds, right?
Correct.
All the second seeds in the tier 3.
Yes, and so we could get some crazy matchups. If Golden Guardians do qualify, then we've got the 4 major regions represented. And it's going to be exciting. But of course, PSG not out of this game just yet. There's still definitely ways for them to win. They hold the gold lead for now. A lot of that's sitting on their top laner. So right now, I'm looking at the 280 carries as some of the big damage threats as we get closer and closer to these big fights. Baron is of course alive. Dragon spawning around a minute 30. But being the Cloud Drake, I wonder if PSG will feel compelled to actually contest.
We'll see if they give up third dragon or not. I mean, Golden Guardians will start hitting the Masterwork Ornn items from here on. Already 13 for Licorice. Going to start getting these online. You have to expect Stixxay will be the first recipient, most likely. And I think it does put a lot of pressure in PSG in these team fights to not just sit back. I think there's a temptation when the enemy team is super big front line to kind of absorb their engage. But I think that's just all going to buy space for Stixxay to run over these fights. And you'll have a lot of pressure of having your Vi and Syndra ultimates actually land on top of Stixxay and see if you can blow him up.
What's going to be the ideal team fight here for PSG, because I think it looks a little bit more difficult to execute than Golden Guardians, which to me is just simple. Let Ornn and Maokai press R, and
run at them.
Everyone else runs at them, right? But I think obviously for PSG, a little bit more nuanced here, with the Vi, the Gnar, Syndra obviously, and with Jinx being a little bit further back.
I think it's going to be a lot on Aja, like what I was kind of saying, is to find a flank onto Stixxay and serve him up for the rest of the team. If Junji is just running in alone, pressing R on him, you're going to end up 4,000 units away on 3 different screens in the middle of the enemy team and get one shot while you're in there. So you have to have some sort of other setup. Maybe that's a hook by Woody, Aja finding a flank, and Gnar ultimate knocking him closer, so then Yubao can actually get the damage out, and Junji can provide more of the lockdown and CC. I think that is the primary way they'll be approaching these later game neutral objectives.
Right now, Golden Guardians have pretty much conceded all control of the river. Gory does have an avenue as he's pushed in that bot wave that Yubao has to go and catch. Now they will start working their way back in. Licorice has joined the fray.
Dragon is up. Dragon is up. Licorice will throw up the pillar. Waiting. See who
So did you see how much
first.
damage Wacko did to Licorice?
You mean nothing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Bit of foreboding for
more
you.
time, need way more armor pen. This is the 3rd dragon of the game. Golden Guardians are still behind in gold 1,000, but frankly, I don't think it really matters. They have started this off. There's a potential flank on the bottom. Mega Gnar is charging up. Archie's going to be the focus. He is in Gnar, and they are able to take out Huhi. Tried to buy time with him being dropped. Archie's done the same on the other side. Will be dropped down just a second as Gory secures the kill. Dragon picked up by PSG, and the Ornn Horn will at least send them back. Teleport being channeled. Here comes Gory. Wacko's now firing up. The hook will miss. Searing charge. Catches Yubao. He buys time by going golden, and Wacko remains untouched, but he needs so much longer. Only Sphere will go out, and Wacko has got the time, has got the damage, but Stixxay is trading back. He's got the shield, he's got the lifesteal, the spark, forward, and will not do it just yet. Wacko taken down. So close, but Golden Guardians come out on top.
It's a very drawn-out fight, but Golden Guardians will walk away the victors. Now they have the Baron in their eyes as well. River is still alive, their smite is available, and just like that, Golden Guardians have blown open the game.
You could see Aja looking for that flank, but Golden Guardians identify they have to be aware of that. They go to focus him down, and during that time, I like the idea of PSG to just burn the dragon and try and escape, but a very heads-up teleport by Gory into the middle of the lane to stop them from having an easy escape. Here you can see it again. They start the dragon off. Gory goes hunting for Aja, finds him, flips him back, and ultimately the team to say, hey, this is the guy we need to mark.
Meanwhile, Huhi getting picked off on the side, gets chain CC'd by the side of PSG. The kill gets handed over to Wacko as well, and you think at this point, this is definitely a winnable fight for PSG. The flash committed from River as he immediately turns back towards the dragon. A good stun comes out from Yubao, but then GG with the re-engage with the TP flank.
So many long range engage tools, the Ornn ultimate, the Maokai ultimate, and then Gory with that TP flank, making sure there's no way out. They're able to get on top of Yubao there. His flash already committed.
And look at this as well. You'll see in a second, Stixxay gets CC'd, but then the hook is just short from Wacko. If that had connected, how different could this fight have gone? As Stixxay is now left alive, Wacko forced to flash. So many low health bars. The Jinx resets were so close.
I held my breath.
Enough damage.
I held my breath, Betty, because it was so close to Wacko getting unleashed, getting unstoppable. And as we jump back to live, Golden Guardians, they've already initiated the fight underneath the inner turret. Remember, they got those Baron empowered minions to work with. A double kill for Stixxay. The Red Bull Baron power play is off to a fantastic start.
They're diving the tier 2.
Split up. PSG cannot stand toe-to-toe with the Golden Guardians.
They were diving the tier 2 without having even secured the tier 1. Golden Guardians are using all this momentum to tear apart PSG's base with Wacko dead. Will they try and end the game?
They might just do it. Golden Guardians are making the run through play-ins to bracket stage. They've opened up the mid inhibitor. They will secure this in a moment. 10 seconds for Wacko, 13 for Junjia. Throughout the course of these 3 games, it has been a controlled one. It has been a patient one. The Golden Guardians will back out, content with the lead they've generated.
Happy to grab the mid inhibitor. Licorice had recalled to cover Aj's push. During that time, he had recalled to defend that push. No more could be gotten by Golden Guardians, but still a minute left on the Baron buff power play. Knowing how aggressive they are, I'm sure we'll see them in lane again. Here's how this fight started, using the Ornn ultimate to shove them off turret, but Wacko with no sums left after that previous fight. Basically a very easy chase down sequence with how many tools they have.
It's so hard to live if you're Wacko. There's just not enough peel for you. And the chase down from the 3 beefy tanks and the supercharged Zeri is too much for Wacko to deal with. Disappointment on the faces of PSG as they can see the game falling apart. Golden Guardians in full control with the Baron and looking to join the other teams in the bracket stage.
Heartbreak from PSG. They had some opportunities, but I do think over the course of the series, we have seen how Golden Guardians have demonstrated a little bit of that team gap. They've got the proactive plays, they've got the read.
Here we go.
They're sieging this bottom lane. Dory's in the top. Nature's Grasp is splitting up PSG. Another tower falls, another inhibitor falls. Aji has got the teleport if needed, may be called upon. Flame Chompers go out. Licorice continues to step back. The turret falls.
Ooh.
Gia will interrupt. Corey's back. The inhibitor will be taken down. PSG have not conceded yet. Golden Guardians have not won yet. It is 2 inhibitors to 1. And Golden Guardians are now going to be able to back, and they now need to deal with supers on their own Nexus turrets.
Not a bad little stretch of macro play out of PSG there, keeping Aja in the top side, getting more gold funneled to the team while absorbing the inhibitor losses. But you have to remember, they also stopped the dragon stacking out of Golden Guardians at that 3rd Drake. It's only a 2k gold lead, so despite how dominant Golden Guardians looked in these team fights, the actual game state is not that terrible for the side of PSG.
And you hear the fans here in London excited at the potential, excited at PSG's play. The thing is, it is still a tenuous situation. I mean, 1 lane of supers versus 2. Teleports would be valuable here. They could look for that backdoor play. And also, in terms of base races, you really do not want to get into that situation against Golden Guardians. We're 2 minutes from Baron. Dragon is up and available. You know what? Silver lining here, Betty. PSG can farm the super minions. They can claw more gold into Wacko, into Ubao, from the lanes pushing towards them.
It's definitely a glass half full perspective, especially when you look at the LDR completed for Wacko. You're saying, you know what, now he should be able to melt through those tanks. The problem is level 13 Jinx, level 16 Licorice, Gory, Stixxay. There is a massive level discrepancy between the 2 teams right now, and I think Golden Guardians are making the right call. Forget the dragon, focus on the top lane, and they're looking to secure this tower.
Could be the potential final fight. Nature's Grasp, Call the Forge God, Scatter the Weak is out, and PSG are chipped away. Wacko below half health. The 8th tower secured. Now super minions on those Nexus turrets. PSG are being pulled on multiple fronts to defend. Guardians playing this one very calculated and by the numbers.
Dropping Wacko to half HP with just those long-range gauge tools shows how difficult it will be for him. In terms of gold lead, Stixxay is the richest person in the game and continues to be relatively hard to jump on for PSG. And the fact that Aja has been the one splitting and getting the most gold for his team, he is the richest member by a considerable margin for PSG. It does feel like a lot of the emphasis will be on him finding a better engage this time around, because he was basically non-interactive in that critical last team fight.
Certainly was. As Golden Guardians secure their 3rd dragon of the game, Licorice will be forced to go top to catch that wave. His TP is available, but of course the Baron will be the next major objective. PSG have some control around their topside jungle, but without access to the river, it's going to be a difficult one to contest. And even if they get close, what have they got to walk into? Maokai saplings, Maokai ultimate, Ornn ultimate. It's a very difficult one to siege.
As Tibbers if needed, the flashes are available for all 5 members of Golden Guardians. Wako, while he's got those 3 items secured, an entire item behind Stixxay. Lighting is looking on the wall. Will he find enough time? Well, managed to find Scatter the Weak. Take a look now. Baron is up. Golden Guardians pushing top lane, trying to push this mid lane and peeling back towards the river. They've started the objective, Mark. This could be the final one.
We'll see if PSG can find a contest. Gory has an Anathema's Chains on top of Wako as well, understanding that he is the late game threat that they cannot let pop off. Can Jinjia get in range for a smite?
Trying to. Jinjia's over the wall. Stixxay's chasing, using that spark and the burst fire after shot. A kill secured. Call the Forge God knocks up 2. The all-out, the death sentence is back. That's a shutdown. Ubao's got 1 back, but I don't know if it's enough. Wako is so low and burning and running for his life. Woody's being cut down by River. And while the Baron has been ignored for now, 2 kills secured, super minions available. Golden Guardians have all the options available to close this game out.
Bit of an overcommitment there from Gory. Golden Guardians saw an opportunity to end the whole game. If they kill Wako, they could have just ran for the Nexus and ended it all right there. But after losing Gory, they realized, okay, change of plan. We've got to take it safe. We've got to take our time. They go back to the Baron, and they should secure this objective as PSG try to get something back on the map.
That feels like the story for PSG this game, getting whatever they can in response to the leads that Golden Guardians is generating. Second Baron of the game for them now. More item completions coming through, as well as the fact that Stixxay, you saw how quickly he deleted Jinjia when he tried to get in behind the pit. Means that if they do not kill Stixxay, he will absolutely melt through the front line of PSG.
PSG hoping for a little bit of an overstep from the Golden Guardians. If Golden Guardians do not layer all that CC, obviously the power and the amount of space and time that it buys for Stixxay so significantly reduced. Wako still trying to build up that power gap, but Golden Guardians are looking towards that Brackley stage. They're looking to demonstrate their abilities to 7 other teams here. And with the inhibitors respawned, they've got themselves another Baron. 2 minutes on this one. I think they used the previous Baron buff particularly well. They siege multiple lanes, they open up the base, they've got the inhibitors. It's very controlled, and it looks to be the case again, grouping up mid, while Licorice with TP is pushing top lane.
Getting multiple lanes pushing at the same time, not giving Aja space to get one of the lanes back in his favor, trying to force PSG into their base under their control.
Cheeky red buff hand over to Wako.
Oh, nice. I like that little moment.
But with the Baron buff, Golden Guardians will continue to walk these minions into the base of PSG. This will be their last line of defense. A miracle is needed for PSG to keep their hopes at MSI alive.
Deciding not to defend the mid inhibitor. Gory left unchecked on the bottom with Archie's Mega Gnar slowly burning through. That is a big window. It'll be difficult to play around. Golden Guardians happy with this so far. A minute 20, still on Baron. Licorice bringing the conga line towards the top lane. Gory using their footwork to move backwards as Stixxay's got Huhi for cover. No flash for Huhi. Top inhibitor turret is now being focused. Nature's Grasp catches 2. Wako's able to stay free. The engage opportunity is here. Hopping over Ubao. They've got a deletion. That's already a kill into Gory. Now follow Wako. He's been targeted and jumped on and blown up by Stixxay. That might just be the key pick for the Golden Guardians. Huhi is so low, but it does not matter. The last man standing, Arji, and Ubao and Arji is caught on the wrong side of the walls. That's a quadra. Will it be another pentakill for Stixxay, the second of the tournament? Looking for Ubao. The rest of Golden Guardians stepping onto the fountain.
He wants
It'll have to be a replica. It'll have to be exactly the same as the first time. The Nexus turret top being focused on. Stixxay's going for the win.
They're gonna
Stixxay's
dive.
going for the Nexus. Scatter the Weak flies out. He misses the stun, the searing charge, the flash away. Stixxay underneath the steps. Will not be able to do it just yet. Needs more time, needs more damage. Tries to stay alive, but the Nexus falls and Golden Guardians run through play-ins and advance to the bracket stage.
They won't find the second pentakill for Stixxay, but they will move on. Golden Guardians, the second seed from the LCS, advance to the main stage.